Hey, this is Joe from Citrus County Porch Life, bringing you the AA word of the day. And the word for today, Thursday, September 19th, 2024, is acceptance. And here's a quote from the book As Bill Sees It. Bill is Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'll go into a little bit about him and his life after we finish this reading. So here's the quote from page 109. We admitted we could lick alcohol with our own remaining resources. That is, couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources. So we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, if only our AA group could do this hitherto impossible job. The moment we were able to accept these facts fully, our release from alcohol compulsion began. And here's a daily reflection. Freedom came to me with my acceptance that I could turn my will and my life over to the care of my higher power, whom I call God. Serenity seeped into the chaos of my life when I accepted that what I was going through was life, and that God would help me through my difficulties and much more as well. Since then, He has helped me through all my difficulties. When I accept situations as they are, not as they wish to be, then I can grow and have serenity and peace of mind. So I'll give you a little information on Bill. His name was Bill Wilson. He lived up in Vermont. You can go to his house. He was born 11/26/1895, November 26, 1895, and he died January 24th, 1977. He was in the Army from 1916 through 1918. And during that time, he fought Pancho Villa in the Mexican War, and also he fought in World War I. And many of the bad experiences he had in his life were from World War I. He married a girl, Lois. He tried to graduate from law school but failed, and then he became a stock speculator, but more, he went around and evaluated businesses. He traveled all over, evaluated businesses for investment for other people. And that's when his drinking really took off, when he'd be on the road alone and go to a bar and drink. And he, one of the guys that wasn't a co-founder, but provided a medical model of Alcoholics Anonymous. His name was Dr. Bill Silkworth. He believed alcoholism was an allergy, and that once you started that allergy cascade, you had to drink more and more and more. And he was in the hospital, and people went to the hospital then just to die or dry out, but eventually he ended up in the hospital with probably esophageal varices, liver failure. And 1936, I think he had his last drink, and he came in contact with Dr. Bob, and together they put all this great literature together. It's amazing. And on his own, Dr. Bob died much before, in the 50s, before Bill Wilson died. And Bill wrote books, and this, as Bill sees it, is a compilation of the writings he did about alcoholism. It's very exciting. I've been to his house. They used to hold house meetings, just like the early church held church meetings in houses. And yeah, I can relate to so much of what this says. Freedom came to me only with my acceptance that I could turn my will and my life over to the care of a higher power. I have been trying and trying. I come from, well, a family that never really talked about it. My grandfather died of alcoholism. He died of esophageal varices in a hospital. And they made it almost like a saintly death, but he suffered for his drinking. And I have been lucky enough that I've maintained my sobriety from that very first meeting. I know where it was. It was at St. George's Church in Providence, Rhode Island. It was in the Grand Hall, the second floor, and it was a very high church, Episcopal church. It looked more Catholic than the Catholic churches do now. And I maintained my sobriety. They had a beginners meeting. I couldn't really make out everything that was being said at the the beginning of the meeting, and then they broke into beginners group, and they had, well, at that point I didn't even know what happened after, because I kept going to the beginners group every week, and there was a guy there that I wouldn't have thought that I could learn anything from, and I did from my very first meeting. I had come totally prepared. I had a Chevy S10 pickup with the cover, and then under the cover I had 2 cases, 24 cans of Miller Lite 16 ounce, and if I didn't like what I had, I was gonna drink, and that was my drink of choice, Miller Lite. And I didn't. I kept them one more week, just in case that was an aberration, that all the good stuff I heard wasn't really true. I kept them one more week, then I gave them to my brothers. So that's kind of how I started, and I stayed with that group. Eventually, the leader of the group, the pastor in charge of the church, he was an Episcopal priest, decided that he was going to be become a Catholic priest, a married Catholic priest. And he did, but one of the things he wanted to do was get the meetings out of the building. So we had to find another meeting. But I loved it there. It was right up the top of College Hill, right next to Brown University. It was a very vibrant place. You could go before the meeting very early, go to a coffee shop, just sit and watch the world pass by, sitting there talking with your friends for a pre-meeting meeting, and then after a post-meeting meeting. And I'm glad I found that particular meeting, because I've kept going all the time. So it's very interesting. They have books, and you can read online too. Wikipedia has quite an extensive biography of Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, and they did quite great things at that hospital. AA is a great place. They had, I think after the first couple of months I wrote it, they had, in 1938, they had 100 sober alcoholics. Can you imagine what it is now with 120,000 meetings? Not everyone gets it. But that's not a reason to throw the whole program out. I've lost many good. My first sponsor, who I really cherished, picked up, and he died. And he died in a very quick manner. It was kind of all those years he just picked up, and that was it. So if you have the ability, or maybe I haven't checked. I should check, see if some of these are. Well, I'm in Florida, so I don't know how many people listen to this in Florida. I know the great majority of the videos are listened to by people in the United States. This should be something that your library has and that you can borrow if you don't have the money to buy the book. Or if you go to a meeting, and if you can get to one, and believe me, there are ways to get to a meeting. You can call your local AA representatives and say you want to go to a meeting, but you don't have the ability to get to one, and they will come and pick you up, and maybe you can make arrangements for them to pick you up on a regular basis. It's not impossible, especially in the bigger urban areas. Some of these meetings are attended by 200 people. So this is quite a lot to think about. Quite a lot. The dependence on a higher power. And so I'm going to close it at that. It's 12 minutes. I don't like to run too long because you get bored with me. And have a good and safe Thursday, a sober Thursday, and I will see you tomorrow.